PG&E's monopoly territory is home to 17 million people.
Families already struggle to pay their bills.
PG&E was convicted of 91 felonies.
Really? I mean, what's next?
Greybeard Talks Solar. He is SolarWise.
Welcome to the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining. I'm happy that you're here. Please like and subscribe if you find the information I'm about to share to be informative, illuminating, and thought-provoking. And today's subject, we're going to be talking about the biggest scam in California energy. Is it solar? Is it not? That is the question that we're going to dig into today. So thank you so much for watching the channel. As always, we've got great information that we're going to share. I got some pieces today that I think are really going to make you think about what's going on in California, specifically with the big three utilities, California's PG&E, Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric. So first things first, am I talking about California and solar being the scam? No, I am not. So here's the big thing that I'm going to share with you today. Here's what you didn't know about California energy. So in PG&E territory, so we're going to start with Pacific Gas and Electric first. So in PG&E territory, January 1st of 2024, PG&E got a rate increase of 13%. Okay. Now, they attributed this rate increase to $1 billion in needed revenue. This 13% rate increase that took effect on January 1st was to generate $1 billion in revenue, primarily for wildfire mitigation and storm damage that they had. Then, get this, 62 days later, 61, 62, do the math, look at the calendar. March 1st of the same year, they raised rates another 8%. So in 61 days, effectively, maybe 62, 21% increase in PG&E territory in California. Okay, 21%. Now, you would think that that was bad enough. You'd think that that was horrendous. You'd think that that would be the end of it. 21%, that's a big, big chunk of extra money that they're lobbing on California homeowners. But yet, here again, that wasn't the end. So now, fast forward through this whole year in 2024, get this, PG&E has had 4 rate increases, totaling almost 30% in this 1 year alone. Now, many of you might go, how in the world can this happen? You know, how does this take place? How do they get to raise rates like that? Well, in California, we've got the California Public Utilities Commission, which is an appointed board, a 5-member appointed board. And guess who gets to appoint the board members? Our good old Governor Gavin Newsom gets to appoint the board members. And by the way, is it little wonder that major for-profit utility companies such as PG&E, Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric have made campaign contributions to Mr. Newsom's election efforts, right? So anyway, appointed board members. Newsom gets to appoint them. There's 5 members on the board, and these folks get to decide what's going on in California energy and whether or not PG&E gets a chance to raise rates. Now, for those of you that were also not aware, here's another little tidbit. Here's something you didn't know. Guess what? There was such a fervor over some of these board members ending up, after their tenure with the CPUC, some of these board members end up working for the utilities themselves with cushy, big jobs, if you know what I mean. So kind of goes something like this is what I'm imagining. Let's say it's Jim Smith that works on the CPUC board. And then all of a sudden, one of the utilities, hey, PG&E, Edison, or San Diego Gas and Electric goes, hey, Jim, listen, when you retire, when your tenure ends at the board, we've got a corner desk room job here, office view. It's going to come with a nice, big, fat 6-figure, maybe even 7-figure salary. But hey, by the way, we're kind of hurting for a little bit more money. We might need a rate increase. Maybe you vote yes on our rate increase. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you vote yes. So get this. In California, this was such a persistent problem. Still is, by the way. That Senate Bill AB 2054 was written and specifically to address this problem, and it was going to prevent these CPUC board members from working with the utilities for up to 10 years past their tenure. okay, just to avoid this conflict of interest. But guess what? Shot down, was not voted on, did not become law. So right now they've got to wait maybe a year, maybe 2 years, depends, before they can then go to work with the actual utilities that they're supposed to be policing along the way. So maybe that's part of the scam, or part of the reason why we've had 4 rate increases in PG&E territory in 2024 alone. Well, I'll point your attention to this. This scenario, these 4 rate increases have led us to this particular point. Take a look at this slide. Page 4 of the Public Advocate's Office. This is a report from the Public Advocate's Office, which is an arm of the CPUC, talking about what's going on in California with their energy usage, what's happening with homeowners, what's happening with rates. And so if you take a look at slide number 4 here, get this. 1 in 5 of your neighbors is currently behind on their energy bills. Little wonder, right? 4 rate increases in 2024 alone to the tune of almost 30%. Are people's incomes going up 30% a year? Most likely not. Okay? So 1 in 5. So if you look down your street, left, look right, count all the houses, count 10 houses, 2 of your neighbors right now currently behind on their energy bills to the tune of an average of $747. This is outrageous, in my opinion, and this is part of the bigger problem, but it doesn't end there. This is not the end of what I call the California energy scam, which is the public utilities. Let's take a look at this particular slide. Take a look at slide number 5 here. This is also out of that Public Advocate's Office, the most recent report that we've gotten from the CPUC on what's going on in California with energy prices and where are rates in the last 10 years. Look at this. In the last 10 years, in PG&E territory, PG&E is up 110% in 10 years. Okay? Now, that's bad enough. But look at the 3-year average. 51%. Up 51% in 3 years. Little wonder 1 in 5 of your neighbors is currently behind on their energy bills. It's outrageous. Of the 4 big costs of home ownership, utility costs, so we take mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and utility expense. Utility expense is starting to rise against all of the other 3. In some instances, we're seeing utility bills be the most expensive cost of homeownership in California because companies like PG&E, which is a for-profit utility company, have raised rates 110% in the last 10 years and 51% in 3 years. 51%. Now, Edison, 90%. San Diego Gas and Electric, they're at 82%. That's massive growth. Simple interest right now, taking PG&E, that's 11% per year average rate of growth on utility costs. It's just untenable. And I think it's part of the bigger problem, part of the bigger scam that's going on in California. We'll get to a little bit more of that in a moment. But the trend graph, look at where rates are going, specific to PG&E. Okay, PG&E is the worst offender in the state. If you look at page 18 of the Public Advocate's graph here, this graph, the trend graph, it's moving exponentially higher. Look at the trend. It's going, I don't know, depending on which way you look at it, it's going up. And it's going up massive. And here's the thing. I would love to be able to share with you that I think it's going to be that the worst is over. Okay? That the worst of what's happened in California energy and rates, I would love to be able to tell you that the worst of it is over. But I just don't think that's the case. Here's the reason why. I think this next 10 years will actually outpace the prior 10 years where PG&E has averaged 11% a year, where Edison averaged 9% a year, and where SDG&E averaged a little better than 8% a year. Okay, this next 10 years, I believe, is going to be worse. It's going to make the scam of public energy, publicly traded company energy providers in California, is going to make that scam even more lucrative. Because here's the thing. California wants everyone to be carbon neutral by 2040. They want the state as a whole, the 5th largest economy in the world, okay, They want that economy, this state, to be carbon neutral by 2040. That's going to take a massive amount of infrastructure investment to try to get there. It's going to take a massive amount of more energy production. And by the way, California already imports more energy than any other state. They import almost a third of the energy that we have. We can't generate what we need now as Californians, yet California wants you to be carbon neutral by 2040. Newsom wants everyone driving an electric vehicle. Those are like energy vampires. Those things consume energy like a vampire consumes blood. I'll tell you what, you drive 100 miles in an electric vehicle, you'll use about the same amount of energy that the average homeowner uses in a full day living in their house in California. Okay, so he wants everyone driving electric vehicles. So I think the next 10 years is going to be even worse than the prior 10 years. Now, here's another point I want to make. PG&E is a for-profit, publicly traded utility company, okay? As a for-profit utility company, their sole mission is to make money for shareholders. It's not to benefit homeowners in California. It's to make money for their stockholders, their shareholders. They want to be profitable. They want to make money. Going bankrupt is the complete opposite of that mission. Going bankrupt means they failed. They did go bankrupt in 2019. They went bankrupt because their old, unmaintained equipment sparked a fire that ended the lives of 85 souls in Paradise, California. Okay, it was the Camp Fire. That fire, those lives lost, meant PG&E went bankrupt. Now, here's the problem. PG&E doesn't want to have that happen again, yet they still have maintained risk. They have massive recurring risk that could still happen again for them, okay? Because their equipment is so aged. They didn't maintain, they didn't upgrade their equipment, and now they're trying to do so very quickly, which is part of the reason they're undergrounding lines. So PG&E, get this, PG&E, to mitigate their risk of another fire occurring that would cause them to go bankrupt, PG&E is undergrounding lines. They have about 10,000 miles of lines that they've outlined that they want to underground. And they're undergrounding these lines in an effort to put them underground to stop the potential for sparking a fire. But here's the thing. Guess what it's coming in at as a cost? Almost $3 million a mile as an average cost. So let's do that math. 3 million a mile, 10,000 miles. That's $30 billion that they want to spend of California homeowner money. This is a California paid company, right? They exist because people pay their utility bills. That's why they exist, right? So they want Californians to foot the bill to the tune of, in today's dollars, almost $30 billion to underground lines to make sure that they preserve their ability to make money for shareholders. That is one of the biggest scams out there. Now, in addition, it gets worse. Get this. Because they are a public utility company for profit, when they spend money, okay, they're entitled, some of that money they're entitled to recoup. Storm damage, maintenance, things like that. They're entitled, get this, they're entitled to profitability on top of it. The CPUC, again, 5-member appointed board by Newsom that has had conflicts of interest, ended up working with the utilities later. That 5-member board, the CPUC, has allowed PG&E to make 10.7% on money spent in certain categories. They can make profitability. So the more money they spend, in theory, the more money they make, which is why PG&E in the last couple of years has had record profitability. Solar is not the problem in California. Solar is not the scam. When you can make your own energy at your house, okay, and avoid all of the PG&E drama, avoid all of the PG&E expense, avoid all the Edison and San Diego Gas and Electric, when you can make your energy at your home, that's not the problem. The problem is being corralled, being handcuffed to a company like PG&E, Edison, or San Diego Gas and Electric in California. Because here's the issue. Here's another part of the scam. When you buy a house in PG&E territory, the only utility that you can use is PG&E. Now, California says they don't have a monopoly. Oh, they don't have a monopoly. There are other energy providers in California. This is another part of the big scam, right? So they say, so for example, in certain areas, you might be familiar with Valley Clean Energy. You might be familiar with a company called Pioneer. You might be affiliated with half a dozen other energy providers that make electricity in California outside of PG&E, Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric, okay? These for-profit, third-party energy providers that you can sign on with. So that's how PG&E is supposedly able to say that they're not a monopoly in California, because they allow other third-party energy generator companies to actually sell you energy. Now, here's the problem with that. If you take a look at your PG&E bill, grab a copy of it, take a look at it. You're going to see two major charges on that bill for the energy that you consume. You're going to see something called a generation charge, which is actually the cost of making the electricity. Whoever's providing the electricity, is that, whether that be PG&E, Pioneer, Valley Clean Energy, or whatever the company is, whoever it is, it's the cost of the electricity. The amount of electricity that you consume, that was the cost that it took to make it, with profitability for that company, right? So that's the price you paid for it. Let's say that's $200. Okay, you consume $200 worth of energy for the month. You'll also see a secondary charge, bigger, by the way, much bigger. It's called distribution charges. So if your generation, or the cost of the actual electricity that you consume, was $200, get this, PG&E will charge you $400 to get the energy to your house. $400 to use their network of utility lines, poles, transformers, the grid in California. So PG&E is not a monopoly because you can get energy from other third-party companies, yet guess what? PG&E's infrastructure, their grid, the distribution lines, getting the power to your house, they have a monopoly on that. And that's 2/3 of the cost of most people's bills, is the getting the energy to your house cost. Not the cost to make it, but to get it to your house, that cost. So, coming back to the big scam, they own the distribution network, they own the grid, they own the utility poles, they own the lines. Even if you work with a third-party provider, you've got to use their railway, their lines to get the energy to your house, and that's where they have the monopoly. So, solar. Guess what? If you can make the energy at your property, if you can make the energy at your roof, if you can make the energy on a ground mount system on your property, if you can make the energy at your parcel, at your home, at your property, you don't have distribution charges. You don't have that expense. That expense is a major expense of the big three utilities, right? So what I started this video out saying is the biggest scam in California energy. Is it solar? Let me ask you, is it solar, or is it the for-profit utility companies that exist here in California? See, because I'm of the mind that if you can make your own energy at the property, if you can make it from sunlight, deliver it exactly when you need it, store it in a battery, that is not the scam. Solar saves. It's cheaper to make energy at the property. You don't have to participate in all this other stuff that PG&E has going on. For that matter, what Edison or San Diego Gas and Electric has going on. So to me, the biggest scam in California energy, once again, is the for-profit utility companies. And hopefully I helped you to understand what's going on here. And if you're interested in exploring solar further, here's what you can do. You can text YouTube, okay, to 84503. We're a small family-owned solar brokerage company in Northern California. If you text YouTube to 84503, my team will be in touch. We'll help you to explore all of the options available in solar and see if we can help you to save money, help you to get outside of what I believe to be the biggest scam in California energy, okay? Thanks for watching the Greybeard Talks Solar channel, where a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into serious savings for you. Don't forget to smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Stay charged, stay informed, and my friends, please keep shining.
Thanks for listening to SolarWise. Greybeard Talks Solar. Please visit our website, solarwiseco.com, to learn more. And we will see you next time on SolarWise.